Hey guys, so today we are going to talk about my minimalist wedding photographer setup. This past year, I experimented with having much less gear because I wanted to carry less on my body and hopefully relieve strain on my shoulders and my hands while I was shooting weddings and at all of my other shoots as well. And so after taking a couple courses and looking around at my options, I actually decided to experiment this year with a minimalist wedding photographer gear lineup, which is kind of intimidating because you want to know that the gear that you're bringing is going to work for the shots that come up. Today we are going to detail all of that. I'm going to share my experience with you on what I did like about it, what I didn't like about it, and then hopefully you can kind of get inspired yourself for your own wedding gear lineup because it's always really hard to decide what you're going to have. So let's dive in. So first, let's get started with the gear that I chose to use for my year of minimalist wedding photography. I actually used the gear that I'm currently shooting with, which I should be able to add some in the B-roll later, but it's a Canon EOS R6, and then I am shooting on actually I believe it's a kit lens that you can get with it, a 24 to 105 millimeter f-stop 4. I know, 4. I shot every wedding save for a handful of pictures on at 4 aperture 4.0, which is crazy. For those of you that aren't super familiar with aperture and what I'm talking about with that number, that just means that I didn't have quite as blurry of backgrounds as I could have. You didn't have like the creamy dreaminess that you would have. I wanted to have more of a documentary journalistic approach. And so to me, in order to achieve that, I needed to have more of what was in my frame in focus in every shot. So shooting at f.4 or higher meant that I could achieve that a little bit more easily. It was sometimes a little bit frustrating because I didn't have some of the nice, yummy, blurry backgrounds, which is why as a backup, I did keep my Canon 50mm 1.8 with me. It's an RF lens. I kept it with me if I just felt like I really needed some juicy bokeh, the little rings, the little yummy, blurry circles that you get in the back. If I really wanted that, or whatever, depending on what I wanted, I would switch to that. But for the most part, like 99% of the photos, 99.5 maybe, I took with this 24 to 105. So I had my Canon EOS R6, my Canon 24 to 105 millimeter, and then my Canon 50mm 1.8, which is the little guy. It's really cute and it's really lightweight. So here's a dog hair floating through the air. Then I also had a crossbody camera strap, which allowed me to just carry my camera on my body at all times. Since I pretty much didn't switch lenses throughout the day, that allowed me to be pretty free in my movement and where I went. If I needed a flash, which I did use flashes come the reception, I would have one on camera and also keep them off camera. It just depended on the setup that I wanted at that time. So, but mostly everything was shot on my EOS R6 and my 24 to 105. So I'm just gonna break down a little bit what that process looked like, what I did and didn't like about it, and go from there. So my first 2 weddings straight out of the gate that I did it, I absolutely loved it. I felt like my photos started to adopt more of an editorial, journalistic, documentary feel. And even though in the past I was very moment centric, I was always trying to get the moments, something about in a split second being able to go like wide angle and get a super close-up photo of everything that was happening so I could tell the whole story of the photo, or zoom in if I needed to get, you know, just that different perspective. It really aided in storytelling of the day. And so I was pleasantly surprised that actually giving myself a limitation opened myself up to capturing more of what was happening, which, if you're asking me, that is kind of the goal of a wedding day. My personal goal is to make sure that I tell the story of the day. Everyone has different goals. That one might seem straightforward and like something everyone wants, but it's really not. My goal personally though is to tell the story. And so in my opinion, to do that better, I need to shoot at wider angles. And also have the versatility to not, and to zoom in really close if I need to, just in a split second. So that worked out super well. I would also use this for detail photos. I experimented with using some other lenses last year for detail photos, and by that I mean 2021. It's now 2023, but it's fresh. But for like close-up photos of wedding rings, that sort of thing, I would just keep using this one. I would back up and I would zoom in and I would get photos that I was super happy with. And it just meant adjusting my expectations, because if you throw in a macro lens, then you're gonna get this like super up close, super yummy, really in your face giant photo of a diamond, and I just had to decide that wasn't what I was going to do. And no one was asking me to do it. And so I had to like kind of dig deep into myself and be like, who's putting this expectation on me to do things a certain way? And the answer was, it was me. I don't even post detailed photos that much, so people weren't like expecting a certain kind of detailed photo. And so I decided to just make an executive decision, because I was the executive, and decide I wasn't even going to take macro photos with my macro lens this past year. So I want to talk about a huge added benefit to doing this minimalist approach. It wasn't just to be a minimalist and be cool, because I am not a minimalist. If I like move my chair, you can see this huge pile of like craft junk behind me that I need to organize. But the goal was also to relieve my body, because I had noticed that when I shot weddings, my body would not be okay. My shoulders would be really fatigued, or I'd have weird pains in my back. And I knew that it was partially because I was carrying this like crossbody messenger style bag with 3 lenses in it that were all super heavy, and all the batteries and everything I needed that day, because I wanted it to be readily available, but it was slowly wearing down my body. And it was incredible to see that I could finish a wedding and mostly be a lot better than I was. I have had some other physical ailments after shooting weddings, which I'm 34 now, so it makes sense that like my 24-year-old body recovered just a little bit better. But all in all, like choosing to lighten my physical load made it a lot easier to go through a wedding day. And it didn't impede my ability to take photos at all, but in fact improved it in the long run. So that was a huge win. So if you happen to be someone who is struggling with that, who feels like their body is breaking down from carrying the gear all the time, I recommend just giving it a shot and seeing how it goes. Whether it's just like challenging yourself to only shoot on 1 or 2 lenses while you're taking photos, maybe get a crossbody strap, or you could even rent, if you don't have a non-prime lens, like a zoom lens, like this 24-105, you can rent one for a wedding and just see how you feel afterwards. See if you like your photos. Yeah, so curious to see what you think. The only thing that really bothered me at the end of the year is I did just want just like this much more yummy depth of field. So I guess that leaves me with, will I do this year, 2023, or will I go back to what I was doing? And the answer is, yeah, I'm 100% going to do this year. It was awesome. I loved it. It was just so much easier. It gave me one less thing to think about on a wedding day, and it allowed me to get a lot more creative, because I wasn't thinking about which lens to choose. I was thinking more about composition and lighting and being in the moment, which was such a gift that I gave to myself. If I were to change anything, I might actually further simplify my flash process. I really go back and forth with flash because I like to add a little bit more separation from my background by doing off-camera flash, but also it's a little bit more difficult to actually like be in the moment when you can't, like you're kind of limited by where you've set up your flashes in the room. I can't just like run over and photograph this thing that's happening on the side because my flashes are set up on the dance floor, but there's an awesome reaction over here. So keeping like too much weight on my camera in mind and versatility, I'm kind of toying around with what I want to do with flash this year. But again, that's like really up to me. No one has any expectations on how I use my flash. So I will definitely be playing with that here in 2023. And I'm excited to see what comes of it. Either way, I know that I'm gonna be more equipped this year, more excited to capture people's moments, and very much looking forward to all the stories that I get to tell. And I know that sounds cheesy, but I've had the most fun getting to like capture things in a documentary way and then pull back and like knit it all together into this overarching story of the day. So thank you guys all for watching and listening. Hopefully you learned something and had something to take away from this video. If you have any questions, please comment below. I would love to know your thoughts. Do you have a minimalist setup, or are you like, no, give me all the lenses? Do you think I'm crazy? Please don't. If you think I'm crazy, I mean, you can say that, but I'm like kind of a sensitive person, so have a really great day, guys. And if you like this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day.